Insoles and toe spacers, two types of foot orthotics which passively support the feet. I was always against them with the logic that if we have our inbuilt structures to spread our toes and hold up our arches, why do we want to rely on an external crutch instead? Isn't this just like sticking a band-aid over the problem and forget about the underlying issue? Well, as my knowledge and experience has progressed over time, I've learned that when you combine orthotics for immediate assistance and relief with more long-term and permanent solutions like foot strengthening, that's where you really get the best results. This is what I call the multimodal approach to fixing flat feet, and it's the strategy I'll go through in this video. The first thing to consider is if you really have flat feet. People seem to think that if their arches are not super high and prominent, then they have a problem. But the truth is, the height of your foot arch is not important. At rest, some people have higher arches, others flatter. This is the natural genetic variances among humans. What's more important is how well you control your arches during weight-bearing movement. A well-functioning foot arch is like a spring. When you step on it, you want it to compress and absorb the impact forces and to then quickly recoil and release the built-up energy back into the next step. In this way, researchers found that your arches can conserve as much as 17% of movement energy. So having strong arches has the dual benefits of protecting us from harsh impact forces and using those same forces to become more energy efficient in our movements. In contrast, arches that collapse during each step tend to overpronate, failing to store elastic energy for the next step. Instead, this energy bleeds out into the rest of the leg, increasing stress on the connective tissues and joints. So true flat feet are ones that tend to collapse inwards during movement. The question to now ask is, do you have flat feet? Try this test. Find your navicular, which is this bony protrusion just below the ankle, and mark it with a pen. Then, while seated with your foot relaxed on the ground and no weight on it, get someone to measure the perpendicular height of your pen marking from the floor. Once you have the measurement, stand up on that same leg with the other leg lifted and record the distance between the floor and the pen marking again. Now compare the two measurements. If you find more than 9 millimeters difference between measurements, equivalent to this in inches for my American buddies, then you have a true flat foot or fallen arch. In other words, your arch is unable to maintain its shape during weight bearing. Make sure to test both feet. Now, if your foot arches flatten and collapse inwards into overpronation when standing on one leg, then imagine what can happen while running, where each foot experiences impact forces of up to 3 to 4 times body weight due to gravitational acceleration. It's a recipe for injuries. A short-term fix for this is arch-supporting insoles, which passively stabilize the feet and prevent them from falling out of alignment. Research shows how both the symptoms and biomechanics of flat feet can be improved with arch-supporting insoles. But what insoles don't do is fix the underlying problems causing the collapsing of the foot arches. To fix flat feet over the long term, 3 things need to be worked on in parallel to wearing arch supports. The first is to improve toe alignment. Bunions, for example, are directly correlated to fallen arches. The second is intrinsic foot strength. These are the muscles which are supposed to hold the foot arch in place. And the third is glute strengthening. Our glutes stabilize the entire leg from hip to foot. Let's run through these things in greater detail and see how, when combined with arch support, can really be an effective combo in helping correct flat feet. We'll start with toe misalignment. If you have a bunion or even a great toe misalignment of just 10 degrees, then that could stop your foot from maintaining a strong arch. Researchers showed this back in 1994 by reviewing the x-rays of 100 feet. They measured the arch angle against the great toe alignment. What they found was that feet with a flattened arch of less than 20 degrees consistently had 10 degrees or more of great toe misalignment. This strong correlation can be explained firstly by the change in base of support, moving from a wide triangle to a narrower, less stable diamond-shaped foot, causing the arch to collapse inwards. On a deeper level, as the big toe shifts out of position, it pulls the most important arch muscle, the abductor hallucis, into a mechanically disadvantaged position where it can't properly contract and efficiently stabilize the arch. So if you want more prominent and stable arches, then work on your toe alignment. There are two effective strategies that can help with this. The first is to find the right shoes. The best shoe shape for fixing bunions is one that's modeled around the desired foot shape. So if you take a bunion foot and straighten the great toe and add a bit of room between all the other toes until they form the widest part of the foot, this is the perfect foot shape, resembling that of baby's feet. Now all we need to do is find shoes which match that shape. Here's a popular shoe design. Does it resemble the bunion or the model foot better? Well, the pointy and narrow shape looks just like the feet with bunions. We could therefore call them bunion-shaped shoes. They are not the ones we're looking for. Another popular design is this one for running. While they're a bit wider, they still maintain that bunion shape, inconsistent with the desired foot shape. Let's try one more. This is a barefoot shoe. Just like the model feet, they have a straight edge along the side of the great toe and they're widest in the front. Looks like we have a match. So the next time you're looking for the best shoes to fix your bunions, visualize how you want your feet to look and then find shoes to match them. Alternatively, you can just go to the Find My Shoes section of our website, which lists all the shoe brands with a foot-shaped toe box. But before you click off this video to find your shoes, I want to add a disclaimer. Transitioning to foot-shaped barefoot shoes does not guarantee that your misaligned toes will spread apart and realign themselves. A 2017 study showed that 12 months in white shoes had no positive impact on bunions in a group of 45 people. But when the authors of the study gave another group silicone toe spaces with wide shoes, they found a significant improvement in toe alignment over the same 12-month period. The thinking is that when the toes are misaligned, they need the toe separator's corrective positioning to effectively guide them into the correct shape. In other words, if the feet are unaccustomed to wide shoes, they need to be retrained through the help of toe spacers to learn to splay and fill out the extra space. Now, if you didn't know, silicone spacers are a type of orthotic, just like arch-supporting insoles. So the same thinking applies to them. We don't want to depend on orthotics forever, but as we can see from the study, we can get great short-term benefits from using them. I'll link to the silicone spacers we have tried and recommend below too. Okay, let's move on to the second critical step to fixing flat feet, foot strengthening, and let's see how orthotics fit into this process. The 29 muscles in each foot hold up the arch. Some researchers proved this back in 2003 when they injected anesthetic into the foot muscles of people and recorded the changes in their arch height. As the anesthetic took effect, the participants' arches dropped by an average of 50%, proving how important the foot muscles are for maintaining a stable arch. So if you want solid foot arches that can serve as the foundation of the body, you've got to work on foot strengthening. Now, how do orthotics fit into this? Well, arch-supporting orthotics are secretly weakening your feet. They shrink the size of 3 arch-supporting muscles by an average of 14.7% in just 12 weeks of using them, according to a recent study. How can you then get the benefits of arch support but minimize these unwanted side effects? First, treat insoles as a short-term brace, just like crutches or any other temporary support, rather than a long-term remedy. While using this temporary brace, your goal should then be to work on improving your foot health by strengthening the intrinsic foot muscles to support the foot arch without the need for an artificial brace. That way, you get the immediate help you might need from orthotics, but then develop the intrinsic strength for your feet to stand strong on their own. In practice, if you want to get the most out of your arch supporting insoles, add daily foot strengthening exercises to your routine. A recent study found that combining foot strengthening exercises with arch supporting insoles led to significant improvements in balance and foot posture compared to using insoles alone. This is because while insoles provide passive assistance to your feet, they tend to reduce muscle activity in the foot, which can weaken your muscles over time and decrease your body's ability to actively hold up the foot arch. So, by combining foot strengthening exercises with arch support, you can gain both active and passive support, essentially doubling the benefits. I guess you probably want to know which foot exercises to do. A good place to start is our video on the 4 best foot strengthening exercises. I'll link it down below. Okay, now for the last step to our multimodal approach for fixing flat feet, working on the glutes. Glute strengthening may be the key to fixing your flat and overpronating feet. When you walk and run, the majority of your time is spent on one leg, and due to gravity, the body wants to drop on the other side. When this happens, the pelvis then tilts down and forward, the knee rotates inwards, and the foot arch collapses into overpronation. These are not strong positions. The most important muscles to stop this unwanted domino effect are the glutes. When they are active, they keep the pelvis level, which stabilizes the knee, allowing the foot the best chance of maintaining an arch. Multiple studies have found that just 4 to 6 weeks of glute strengthening can provide significant improvements to foot posture and control. Combine this with foot strengthening and you have a potent formula for building rock-solid foot arches, that is, stability from the bottom up and stability from the top down. It's not by mistake that we offer both foot and glute strengthening courses through our website. I learned very early on in my career that when you treat the body as a system rather than independent parts, that's when you get the best results. Okay, so you may be wondering, if glute strengthening is important for flat feet, then how do orthotics affect the glutes? Well, arch supporting insoles can increase activation of the glute medius during single leg movements, according to a 2005 study. The authors tested this in the single leg squat and step down exercises and saw improved glute contractions in both. Now, I was unable to find any supportive research to further validate these findings, and the authors never provided a convincing discussion on the mechanisms of how this might have worked. But my hypothesis on why they found favorable results is because when the foot is stabilized, in this case with orthotics, the glutes then have a rock-solid base to contract from. If any of you guys have come across evidence, either anecdotal or empirical, to support this use case of orthotics, then please drop it in the discussion below for the benefit of our community. And if you're wondering which is the best type of arch support to use, this is my favorite arch supporting insole for 3 reasons. First, it has no significant heel elevation, so it does not alter your posture. Second, it is not cushioned, so it still allows for sensory feedback. Finally, it stops just after the midfoot, so it doesn't inhibit the full mobility of the forefoot and toes. Personally, I have strong and stable feet, so I use these insoles intermittently as a recovery tool after intense training. I found that they help calm stressed and strained tissues in my feet, preventing overuse injuries such as plantar fasciitis. So even if you have strong feet, orthotics like these can still be a valuable addition to your training toolbox. You can find the insoles and silicone spacers I recommend here and our other videos here. See you there.